us today. So we are going to get started and give you a little rundown of our agenda so you have a sense of what's coming. And Tanya and I will go back and forth through the slides, sharing responsibility of providing this information to you. So as I said, I'm Meg. I primarily work here in the admission office as the lower school liaison, but do also work with both the middle and the upper school applicants. And the school where we both are working is a nursery through 12th grade independent school. It is a day school, and we have approximately 830 students from nursery through 12th grade.
And I am Tanya Graham, also an admissions associate. I am primarily working with the middle school, with the middle school liaison, but like Meg, we have our hands in all of the pots, so work with the other grades as well. And I also do a lot with our data analysis.
Our workshop goals are to share with you some of the events that we have put into place over the last 2 years at this point, and share some of the statistics that have come out of those events, and also the lead up to what got us to that point. And if you look at the third bullet down, it all started with a SWOT analysis, and so we're going to share with you what that procedure is and how that impacted the events that we implemented in our lower school. We will give you a rundown of the various lower school events that we offered and continue to offer in our lower school for applicant families. We'll share with you the logistics and the marketing that went into those events and continue to go into those events. And then we'll have a chance to answer any questions you have. Okay, so the results that came out of our implementation of various new events and marketing in our lower school, that's the slide I'm showing you now. So the gold gives you an indication of the inquiries that we had in the 13-14 year, and then the applications that resulted from those inquiries. And as you can see, we had a significant increase in those inquiries last year, as well as in the amount of applications that ended up coming through. So we can't help but think that that we can attribute that increase to the very targeted events that we put into place. So in just 1 year, we had a 60% increase in our lower school inquiries and applications. Again, like I mentioned in our last slide, there were two primary strategies here. We initiated this with our SWOT analysis, and that SWOT analysis took place in a very specific group that we have in place on campus, and I'm going to tell you about that next, and then our specific events that came out of that. So getting started, let me tell you about that group I just mentioned. It's known as the Enrollment and Recruitment Committee. It consists of administration, staff, board members, and parents, and all folks that are targeted and specifically asked to be members of this committee. Well, the committee does meet monthly, and we discuss the status of and ways to improve the enrollment and recruitment across the school. The goal of the committee is to increase, well, the goal for last year and the end of prior year was to increase lower school enrollment. And really the group can be used for whatever specific topics are of concern or interest in any given year. The suggestion was to start with a SWOT analysis, which is exactly what we did. So I'm going to hand you over to Tanya so she can explain what the SWOT analysis consists of.
So once you have determined a goal, and as we mentioned, our goal was to increase lower school enrollment, then a SWOT analysis really helps you think about the positives and the negatives, the benefits and the barriers that you have to achieving your goal from internal and external sources. And each of those letters addresses a combination of those benefits and barriers and internal versus external sources. So the strengths are internal benefits. So for example, an internal benefit from an independent school example might be that you have a good reputation. So it's something that is controlled by your organization, that is that has a beneficial effect on your organization's goal. A weakness is an internal barrier. So, for example, in a school setting, it could be outdated facilities. So something that is within the control of your organization but negatively affects your ability to achieve your objective. Opportunities are external benefits. So things that are outside of your organization's control but that do benefit you. So, for example, if a local school closed recently, that is something that you cannot control as a school. You can't force the school to close, but because that school closed, now there are many families in your area that are looking for a new educational option, so it does benefit your organization. And a threat is an external barrier, so something that you can't control, but that is still harmful to your organization. So, for example, if there are many other schools competing in the same area for the same population, that will be a threat. So we looked at those 4 categories: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and we came up with a few in each category that were most relevant to Wheeler. And so again, remember, our goal was to increase our lower school enrollment, and we felt that our strengths, our internal benefits, were that we have really engaging teachers, a rigorous curriculum, and a supportive culture within our school community. Our weaknesses, our classroom decor, and that we felt that sometimes families were unfamiliar with our campus. They applied and maybe had heard about Wheeler, but hadn't actually really come to campus and experienced it themselves. An opportunity and an external benefit is that there are many young families in our area, and that in Rhode Island, the public schools only require half-day kindergarten, and so many families are looking for a full-day option. And our threats is that there are many other schools in our area, strong schools, and that we have a local tendency in Rhode Island for families to attend public school until middle school or upper school, and so not really coming in at that lower school level. And so looking at all of these strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for our area, we decided to focus on two main elements. We wanted to highlight a strength while also addressing one of our weaknesses. The strength that we really wanted to highlight was our engaging teachers. We wanted people to interact with our excellent teachers, and by getting people on campus to interact with our teachers, we were also able to address a weakness that families didn't have opportunities to visit the campus. And so to address that strength and that weakness, we took 2 actions. One, we increased and diversified our lower school events. So we had a greater number of events and a wider variety of events available. And then secondly, we really increased our communication with the lower school applicants. So in terms, again, similarly, the frequency and the type of the communication that we have.
Okay, so we're going to share with you 7 lower school recruitment events that we put into place, and let's see here. I'll bring these all up and take a moment to go through them with you. So we continue to offer classroom observations, which really was something that was available, that has been available all along. But we significantly increased the amount of encouragement that we were giving families to do that. And I'm going to give you very detailed explanations of each of these events. We took part in what was called Spooky Zoo. We offered Wheeler and Me classes on campus. We offered lower school coffees in the evenings. We took place in an event at our local children's museum with a variety of other local schools. Independent schools. We also offered a lower school play date here on our campus and a young writers conference here on our campus. We are highlighting specific events for you that we felt really had the best outcome. So if you look for this symbol, that's our Wheeler W there. Those events that have the Wheeler W, we're considering our top-rated events. And the events that for us were most successful and that we definitely will continue to do in the future. And not that the others won't be done in the future, we just I'll share with you details about them as we go, but whether attendance was low or we just didn't feel it was the most beneficial for us. Okay, so the first one I'll tell you a little bit about is our classroom observations. So these are parent observations in the classrooms. They're offered during the school day. We tend to be pretty flexible with this, so we offer them most days of the week, although we do take into account if, if we're just coming off of a break or a long weekend, and often that's not the best time to have parents in the classroom, and kids might still be a bit wound up. So we do, certainly to communicate with our teachers about what days would be best. They really are tailored to what the parent would like to observe. So if you really want to see a science class or a language class, we try to make that happen. The time and length really vary based on what the parents are asking for. Some want to come in and spend a half an hour in 4 different classes, and that's fine. We try to make that work. Others might come in and just want to spend an hour in one single class. And we do try to pair these classroom observations with a meeting time with our director of admission. These are set up by the admission team, and of course, as I mentioned earlier, it's with teacher approval. And it's offered to these are offered to all lower school applicant parents when they apply. So we have that initial contact with them, they apply to our program, and we follow up with them with an email, and we mention that this is an opportunity for them. We are seeing about 20 to 25 observations over the course of the year, and this has increased significantly in the last year. Okay, so now I'll share with you the pros and cons of the classroom observations. The pros, and let me just pull these up for you, it's an opportunity to meet and observe the faculty at what they really do best, and if you remember our SWOT analysis, we're really trying to build on that strength of our engaging teachers and really amazing faculty, so that's a benefit for us. The parents see things in action, and they see that this is a lively, engaging, energetic place, and it makes it easier for them to envision their child in the environment. It's really a personalized experience, so we are tailoring that experience to what they want to see. And it's an extended time for the parent, as opposed to the open house with so many people vying for the teacher's time. They have that one-on-one time. It does not always include one-on-one Q&A with the teacher, but in more cases than not, it allows for that at the end of an observation, or just gives the parent an opportunity to come up with additional questions that they may have. And, sometimes those questions come to us, and sometimes they get asked to the teacher in the classroom. Of course, like anything, there are some cons. Sometimes it can be that can absolutely be difficult for working parents to find the time to come onto campus, and of course, it's potentially stressful for our teachers having somebody observe their lessons, and it could be distracting to our current students. Just last week, we had a parent in a classroom, and she asked many questions to the teacher in the midst of the lesson, and it was a lovely family, and they had very good intention, but that really ended up being a distraction to both the teacher and the students, and so we're working on how to avoid that in the future, whether it means one of us from the admission office sitting in during that observation time to answer those side questions, or just prefacing the observation with the fact the teacher is teaching a lesson, and please save your questions to the end for one of us in the admission office or the teacher if they have time. And it's time-consuming to plan and implement this for individual families, 20 to 25 in admission season. Okay, moving on to our next event. Next event was Spooky Zoo. This was hosted on a Saturday from 10 to 3, and this was put on by our local zoo. And it was an event that they already have in place, and the school paid a fee to have a section of tables and space at this public event that they were hosting, and it was a trick-or-treat event. So we kind of piggybacked onto something that was already taking place. Admission representatives as well as upper school student ambassadors were in attendance, and games and activities were created as well as led by the admissions staff and these upper school student ambassadors that we had asked to come along. We provided flyers to advertise for our upcoming admission events, And we also advertised on our school website. We emailed and mailed the invitation to all of our lower school inquiries. And at the actual event, we provided treats and flyers to approximately 2,000 families. And in our mind, going into this event, we thought, what a great opportunity. This is our target audience. There are a lot of young families attending this. So we were really excited about this opportunity. For this event, the pros for us included going out into the community and meeting families off campus. For those that might not even be aware that who we are or where we are, to potentially connect with families who are unfamiliar with independent schools but might be curious. It's a popular destination for young families. We thought that would be really beneficial for us. And then just the opportunity to demonstrate the benefit of this nursery through 12th grade community by having some of our upper school students engage with the youngsters at this event. For us, the cons, this was a significant cost to our admission budget, and including the materials for the games and prizes and buying treats, and then the registration fee alone. And we found that it was really overstimulating. There were a lot of people in costumes, and we feel as if the message really ended up getting lost with all of the excitement going on around them. So this was not one of our top-rated events, but still something that you might pique your interest to tack on to something in your community that might be going on. Wheeler and Me is an event that took place. We did this. We offered two different events, one in November, one in December. They took place on campus with one of our current teachers. So it was for the parent and the child, for those youngest applicants, our 2 to 3-year-olds. And it was led by one of our faculty members with an admission representative. It was a 30-minute class, followed by a snack and a chance to mingle with the admission team. And this was advertised on our website. It was emailed and mailed to all early childhood inquiries and applicants. And we found that we ended up having about 4 to 6 parent-child pairs per session. And I mentioned there that we offered a yoga and a music class. So the pros for this event, it was an opportunity to meet and observe faculty doing what they do best. Again, like that observation, now they're a part of a class. Parents can see the campus in action. Classes vary based on community interest and teacher talent. So you could offer a language class or a science class. So you could really tailor this to your specific needs. And we thought this would be a fun event for the larger community, and maybe stay-at-home parents could come with their children and a chance to get out of the home and do something different, and it was free. For cons, this is definitely something that's difficult for working parents and potentially stressful for our faculty members to run a workshop during their busy day. So we were, aware of that as we invited teachers to be a part of it. And we did find that we had limited enrollment. We're not sure if that was based on poor timing, lack of marketing on our part, but we would have really liked to see up to 10 students come and attend those classes, and like I said, we have between 4 and 6.
And so another set of events that we did were these lower school coffees, and we had them on Thursday evenings, one in November, one early in the admission season, and one later in the season. This was only for parents, and in addition to the parents coming, we invited the head of school, the director of admission, and the head of the lower school. And it was really just an opportunity for parents to come and ask questions and mingle with these administrators and come onto campus to have an intimate discussion with people who are very involved within the lower school. We had about 4 to 6 participants per evening, similar to the Wheeler and Me. Fewer families than we had hoped for. Again, we were hoping for about maybe 15, even to 20 families per evening. And so for the pros for this event, it was a great opportunity to have an intimate conversation with the administration and to ask any questions that you had, and to hear questions that other parents had that you may not have thought of. And so that was really wonderful. And certainly the families who did come said that they felt that it was valuable. However, there was very limited enrollment, and we did not offer childcare. So some families, especially with younger children, for that early childhood age range, that level of attendance was lower. We had mostly older elementary families, older lower school families, and then also although they were able to see the facilities, they weren't able to see any classes or actually get a feel for the hustle and bustle of what makes a day at Wheeler exciting.
All right, the Children's Museum was another event this was the collaborative event that I mentioned. And so we did this in conjunction with a number of local independent schools in the area, and we met at our local Children's Museum. And this took place on a Saturday, December 7th. It was in the morning, and it was set up as a school fair at the Children's Museum. And we all paid a small fee to rent an entry room at the location, and there was an admission representative at each table, and we did bring our own materials and our table banners and any little tchotchkes that we wanted to provide to families. So like going to any of the independent school fairs that I'm sure most of you attend for your school, it was the similar feel. We advertised in all of the same formats, and we only saw 6 to 8 families attend that event, which again was a bit of a concern for us. The pros, we're going out into the community, we're reaching out to families who may not be super familiar with us, and we picked a popular indoor destination, especially for young families during the winter months. If you're from New England, you know exactly what I'm talking about, needing to really get out of the house. We thought that would be a great target destination and population. And only one school representative was needed rather than needing a whole crew of people. For us, the cons were that the room placement really was not conducive to museum foot traffic. You had to seek us out. You had to really go into this separate room out of your way a bit in order to get to us. So we weren't really right there and in your face, which I don't know if that's a pro or con, but we think that it could have been overwhelming for families who are unfamiliar with independent schools to walk into this room and have this group of 10 schools, around in this small space. And families really were there to play, not there to be thinking about school. Our lower school play date, you'll notice, is one of our top-rated events. So this is a must for us. We knew the minute that this event ended the very first year that we were going to be running this again. And we get excited about this event each year. We start talking about it to the very first inquiry phone call that we get. This event takes place annually on the first Saturday of the new year. So it does take place on that very last Saturday of winter break. It is a morning event, and it's held right here on campus. Parents and children are invited. We have admission representatives as well as our head of lower school, selected faculty members, and ambassadors here to help out. And the offerings have grown. So we offer a variety of classes from art, music, Spanish. This year we've included robotics and science.
Yoga.
And yoga as well. And then they have an opportunity to have some fun in the gym. In addition to those classes that are offered, we are then adding on a parent component where the parents have an opportunity to meet with other adults on campus to ask questions, and it could even be a real kind of specified workshop for the parents And that's up to you in what that would look like for your environment. But we have added this onto our calendar as a bring a friend event for our current families. And we have found that that's worked very well for us. So we advertise it on our school website. We push out an invite to all of our lower school inquiries. But then we encourage our current families to bring a neighbor or a friend who has a child in our lower school age range that might be interested in exploring the school. And sometimes it then makes it easier for them to come onto campus if they are unfamiliar with our setting. And last year we had 36 participants, and so far this year, Tanya, are you aware of how many have signed up so far?
In the 20s.
Okay.
In the 20s so far.
In the 20s so far, and the event is still a month away. So we're anticipating probably 50 participants this year. So the pros for this event, it's an opportunity to get onto campus. It's a fun winter event for families looking to get out of the house, something to do at the end of vacation. We are always excited to show off the talents of our faculty members, and an opportunity, again, to demonstrate that really neat environment, that Nursery K-12 community, and having our upper school students here to engage. Again, reiterating that importance of a bring a friend structure that helps increase our attendance. And then the cons, it is the last Saturday of break. Families may be traveling, faculty may be unavailable, and we are asking quite a bit by having the faculty that we invite to be here do have to give up their last Saturday of break. But this year we asked faculty far in advance, so if they were willing and able to be here with us, they had the heads up on that.
Meg, I'm sorry to...
And so the final event that we're going to discuss, which is also one of our top-rated events, was our Young Writers Conference. And last year was the first year that we did this, but it was extremely successful. So we are deep into the planning and for it to happen again this year. So it happened again on a Saturday morning, and it was for parents and children to attend. We had lower school faculty and middle school English teachers, as well as some of those upper school students and ambassadors. And we opened up this event for students who were applying from 3rd to 8th grade. So this event spanned our older lower school applicants and also our middle school applicants as well. We offered 6 different workshops, and they were co-taught by one faculty member and one upper school student. And then at the end of that workshop, the participants were able to share their work at a spoken word event. While the students were in their workshops, parents attended an information session about Wheeler's lower school writing curriculum. And this was, again, another bring a friend event. So we asked our current families to come, but also to bring a friend. And we had about 40 participants at this event.
Families were welcome to come to the event, applicant families, even if you were not a friend of a current family. And we tried to discourage current families from coming without a friend, without being offensive to them. So that's always a tricky thing.
A fine line. I agree. So the pros for this is, again, it's really getting at our targeted goal of showing off our faculty. And so being able to go have the students participate in these small group writing workshops definitely highlighted our excellent staff members. And it's unique in our area to have a writing conference for this age group, especially for the 3rd graders. So there aren't many other opportunities for them to attend writing conferences like this. Again, we're able to show the benefits of a nursery to 12 community. We were able to get families on campus, and just in general, the event was extremely well received. The parents and the students, current students and applicant students, had fun and enjoyed being able to engage with the faculty and develop their writing skills. For us, the cons for this event is that it was a large time commitment for the faculty to plan their workshops. So this year we did reach out to staff members earlier so that they would have more time and be able to spread their planning out over a longer period. But we are asking them to do quite a bit. We billed it as a bring a friend event, but the session that we did wasn't relevant to current families. So that's something that we are changing for this year. And in addition, for us, the session was really focused on the lower school writing program, so it also didn't really address the middle school writing program for those applicant families who were applying to 6th, 7th, or 8th grade. And so that's something we want to change for this year. And the other con is that it didn't address our early childhood applicants at all. But even with those cons, it was an excellent event. And so this for all of our events, the marketing and the logistics were extremely important for us. And so when you're planning events, some things that we had to keep in mind is, one, the general school calendar, so making sure that admissions events weren't overlapping with other things happening on campus, as well as the admission season calendar in particular. So making sure that we had events early enough in the admission season that if families became interested in Wheeler after attending an event, that they still had time to complete the application process. And so the Young Writers Conference, which happened about mid-January, that was our latest lower school targeted event that we had, because we did want to give them time to complete the process. Teacher workloads, especially since many of our top-rated events were ones that required a lot of faculty participation, we really tried to be considerate about scheduling events so that they weren't in conflict with really busy teacher times, such as exam periods or report card writing times, and then also making sure that there is enough space between events that teachers have time to recuperate, from doing their admissions event alongside their regular schoolwork. And then just giving ourselves time to publicize, time to make sure that we can repeatedly share the upcoming events with applicant families. And for marketing, some of the techniques that we use were, one, targeted mailings and emails, so specifically sending specific individual emails to families who have children applying for certain grades, and again sending specific packages through the mail to families who are applying at certain grade levels, so that the event doesn't get lost in a calendar of all the events going on for the entire season. We sent regular upcoming event emails, and also sent e-bites and posted our information on a website that we have here, Kiddo Info, which also has a calendar event, so that parents were hopefully hearing about the event from lots of different avenues. And then we also had families RSVP online. And we used Google Calendar and Google Forms to do our RSVP system. And we thought that this was fantastic because it made it easy for people to RSVP for events, and it also made it easy for us to track who had already RSVP'd and who had not, so that when we were sending out those targeted emails, that we didn't send an email just to a family who had already RSVP'd, or that if someone did RSVP, we made sure we followed up with them before the event to remind them to attend. With our Google Calendar, on our website we have all of our events on a Google Calendar. Let's see. And here it is, opening. So this is our calendar for this year. And so last Thursday we had a financial aid workshop. And so the link to this calendar is on the admissions section of our website. So when families go to this calendar, if they want to attend an event, they can click directly on the event, get a description, and then if they use Gmail at all, they can copy the event directly to their own personal calendar. And so we thought that was excellent because it's another reminder, one from us, one on their own personal calendars. And then for RSVP, we use Google Forms. So for every event, there's an RSVP link that connects to a Google form. So this is an example of what it would look like, and so we would collect all of this information from parents, their name, the email, the number of people attending, and then once they have submitted the form, we are able to export all of that data into an Excel so that we can easily see who has RSVP'd, and sort the list by whatever criteria we might want to sort by, so that we can again send those targeted emails to people as needed.
That concludes our presentation, and we are happily available to answer any questions that any of you may have. And in addition to that, if you think of anything beyond this afternoon or this morning, depending on where you are welcome to email us, and we are happy to respond with any questions.
Thank you so much, Meg and Tanya. That was really, really great information. Some really wonderful ideas for, I know, a lot of our attendees to consider. We do have a couple of questions, and I just wanted to go over those with you, if you don't mind.
Sure. Absolutely.
Just to clarify something on your Playdate event that you do, you had mentioned that you had 36, that may be your inquiries that were planning to come, but the question was how many of your current parents generally attend as well?
That's a great question.
I don't know off the top of my head. That 36, they were applicant students who attended.
That was 36 applicant students. So we didn't push the bring a friend component as much last year as we have been this year. So I would say maybe we had 10 or so current families attend, and then an additional 36 applicant families. So we probably had a total of around 45 students altogether.
Oh, great. To give a good perspective of your current mix as well. That's really great. And the other question was about individual tours. Do you offer individual tours in addition to your class observations?
Absolutely. So we offer individual tours pretty much, it's a very similar format to offering the observation. Parents will often tag their campus tour to their meeting with our director of admission. And that's another piece of the application process, to come in and meet with our director, Jeanette Epstein. And then following that meeting, we provide a tour. And in 99% of those cases, it's an individual tour of campus offered by either one of us in the office or a current parent who we have trained to give tours of campus.
That's great. That's really great information, and I know for those of us who have lower schools, there's a lot of opportunities for various events. We do have another question from Beth. It is, what data did you use to inform your SWOT analysis, and how much time did you spend collecting and analyzing all of that data?
So for the SWOT analysis, we really relied on that ENR committee, that Enrollment and Recruitment Committee, and there was just kind of a series of meetings over the course of the year where participants met in small groups to brainstorm their ideas about strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats for the community. And then when the groups came together, we kind of tallied all of the small group responses to come to a consensus as a large group about what we thought our biggest areas of concern were, and the biggest opportunities for potential benefit were. So that was really through the ENR committee. Great.
Anne also has a question about your events. You had mentioned some events that you had done in last year, in 13-14, with your pros and cons. How many of those did you offer again this year?
We offered the classroom observations, the lower school play date, the Young Writers Conference, and the coffees have been more of a combined effort with the middle and upper school, so we're not specifically offering lower school coffees, but we still have those events available for families. It's just not specific to lower school. This year we are not offering the Children's Museum event, but we have been in communication with our local group of schools to talk about what other opportunities are out there for us, and we have opted we did not take part in Spooky Zoo this year. I think that's it.
Yeah, so for us, really those top-rated events of classroom observations, local school playdate, and young writers conferences are the ones that we are offering again this year, partly because we just want maybe a little more time to further develop some of the events that for us didn't yield as many participants as we had hoped. But we may bring them back again next year, but we decided to focus our efforts on those extremely successful events from last year.
We also are, we're trying to be aware that if we kind of oversaturate the opportunities to come onto campus, then we take away from some of the larger events that tend to be successful, like the lower school playdate. If a family has been here for 3 or 4 other events, they might not opt to come to one additional, something additional. So we just, like Tanya said, we have decided to focus on fewer rather than as many as we did last year.
Great. Yes, I'm sure, obviously each year you'll look back and see what was successful and make adjustments, and so hopefully your numbers for the events you've chosen to keep this year are looking strong, and they sound like fabulous events.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much to all of the audience for tuning in this week before the holiday begins, and a special thanks to Meghan, Tanya for providing us with this insightful webinar. Oh, okay, someone jumped in with a quick question before we leave, and I want to address that with you. It talks about stipend for your faculty. Were any of your faculty members paid to offer the classes that fell on weekends, especially if they're the Saturday after the winter break? That's a very good question.
That's a great question, and we decided to, we purchased Amazon gift cards for our faculty who attended our weekend events, the Playdate and the Young Writers Conference. So we provided each of them with a $25 Amazon gift card, and we haven't actually discussed that yet for these upcoming events that we have, if we'll do that again, but it was important to us to provide something to those teachers. I'm sure they would have liked a bit of an increase in their paycheck, but that we don't quite have the support for that yet. Although it's not out of the question, and certainly we're having conversations about it.
Do you find your faculty are eager and willing to come, even though they know there is no stipend involved in that?
They really are. We have a little pushback from certain faculty, and we did shy away from, Tanya and myself, we tend to be the ones reaching out to faculty members and asking, and there were a few individuals who we did not feel comfortable asking because they have resisted a bit in the past, but when the head of lower school or director of admissions steps in and says, we're doing this as a community for our school, and there are so many events throughout the year, and everyone is going to be asked to do a little bit of something above and beyond, now it's the norm. And we find that we really have very little resistance, and they see the amount of work that we do as an office outside of the school day, and they're kind of excited to share their talents, I think. I mean, we actually had a few, our Spanish teacher in particular approached us last year and said, can I please offer a Spanish workshop at the Playdate? So we were excited that, it does have a positive buzz, and teachers want to be involved.
Oh,
and I also think that I definitely agree with what Meg was saying, that when with the director of admissions and the head of lower school supporting it from the top down, certainly helps. But then also I think for particularly for the lower school playdate and the Young Writers Conference, because it did go so well last year, I feel like teachers were more eager to participate this year because they saw that their time was well spent, that they put in the time and energy to do a workshop, and their workshop was full, so they didn't feel like their efforts were wasted.
That's wonderful, and certainly each year that you continue with it and teachers start requesting to do a class, you're certainly building great momentum for the program, so that's exciting. I don't think we have any additional questions at this time, but thank you all again so much for taking time out of your schedules to present. And as a reminder for those who want to go back and review any of this, a recording of this presentation is made available on the webinar page in the professional development section of admission.org. Thank you to everyone. Have a wonderful upcoming holiday season, and we'll see you again in 2015.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.